There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. The story so far. In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move. Many races believe that it was created by some sort of god, though the Jotravadrid people of Vitvold 6 believe that the entire universe was in fact sneezed out of the nose of a being called the Great Green Arcosseizure. The Jotravardis, who live in perpetual fear of the time they call the coming of the Great White Handkerchief, are small blue creatures with more than 50 arms each, who are therefore unique in being the only race in history to have invented the aerosol deodorant before the wheel. However, the Great Green Arcosseizure theory is not widely accepted outside Vitvold 6, and so the universe being the puzzling place it is, other explanations are constantly being sought. For instance, a race of hyper-intelligent, pan-dimensional beings once built themselves a gigantic supercomputer called Deep Thought to calculate once and for all the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. For 7.5 million years, Deep Thought computed and calculated, and in the end announced that the answer was in fact 42. And so another, even bigger computer had to be built to find out what the actual question was. And this computer, which was called the Earth, was so large that it was frequently mistaken for a planet, especially by the strange ape-like beings who roamed its surface, totally unaware that they were simply part of a gigantic computer program. And this is very odd, because without that fairly simple and obvious piece of knowledge, nothing that ever happened on the Earth could possibly make the slightest bit of sense. Sadly, however, just before the critical moment of readout, the Earth was unexpectedly demolished by the Vogons to make way, so they claimed, for a new hyperspace bypass, and so all hope of discovering a meaning for life was lost forever. Or so it would seem. 2 of their strange ape-like creatures survived. Arthur Dent escaped at the very last moment because an old friend of his, Ford Prefect, suddenly turned out to be from a small planet in the vicinity of Betelgeuse, and not from Guildford as he hitherto claimed. And more to the point, he knew how to hitch rides on flying saucers. Tricia McMillian, or Trillion, had skipped the planet 6 months earlier with Zaphod Beeblebrox, the then president of the galaxy. 2 survivors. They are all that remains of the greatest experiment ever conducted, to find the ultimate question and the ultimate answer of life, the universe, and everything. And less than 500,000 miles from where their starship is drifting lazily through the inky blackness of space, a Vogon ship is moving slowly towards them. Like all Vogon ships, it looked as if it had been not so much designed as congealed. The unpleasant yellow lumps and edifices which protruded from it at unsightly angles would have disfigured the looks of most ships, but in this case that was sadly impossible. Uglier things have been spotted in the skies, but not by reliable witnesses. In fact, to see anything much uglier than a Vogon ship, you would have to go inside and look at a Vogon. If you are wise, however, this is precisely what you will avoid doing, because the average Vogon will not think twice before doing something so pointlessly hideous to you that you will wish you had never been born. Or, if you are a clearer-minded thinker, that the Vogon had never been born. In fact, the average Vogon probably wouldn't even think once. They are simple-minded, thick-willed, slug-brained creatures, and thinking is not really something they are cut out for. Anatomical analysis on the Vogon reveals that its brain was originally a badly deformed, misplaced, and dyspeptic liver. The fairest thing you can say about them, then, is that they know what they like, and what they generally like involves hurting people, and wherever possible, getting very angry. One thing they don't like is leaving a job unfinished, particularly this Vogon, and particularly for various reasons, this job. This Vogon was Captain Prostenik Vogon Jeltz of the Galactic Hyperspace Planning Council, and he was it who had the job of demolishing the so-called planet Earth. He heaved his momentally vile body round in his ill-fitting slimy seat and stared at the monitor screen on which the starship Heart of Gold was being systematically scanned. It mattered little to him that the Heart of Gold, with its infinite improbability drive, was the most beautiful and revolutionary ship ever built. Aesthetics and technology were closed books to him, and had he had his way, burnt and buried books as well. It mattered even less to him that Zaphod Beeblebrox was aboard. Zaphod Beeblebrox was now the ex-president of the galaxy, and though every police force in the galaxy was currently pursuing both him and this ship he had stolen, the Vogon was not interested. He had other fish to fry. It has been said that Vogons are not above a little bribery and corruption in the same way that the sea is not above the clouds, and this was certainly true in his case. When he heard the words integrity or moral rectitude, he reached for his dictionary, and when he heard the chink of ready money in large quantities, he reached for the rule book and threw it away. In seeking so implacably the destruction of the earth and all that therein lay, he was moving somewhat above and beyond the call of his professional duty. There was even some doubt that the said bypass was actually going to be built, but the matter had been glossed over. He grunted a repellent grunt of satisfaction. "Computer," he croaked, "get me my brain care specialist on the line." Within a few seconds, the face of Gag Halfrunt appeared on the screen, smiling the smile of a man who knew he was 10 light years away from the Vogon face he was looking at. Mixed up somewhere in that smile was a glint of irony, too. Though the Vogon persistently referred to him as my private brain care specialist, there was not a lot of brain to take care of, and it was in fact Halfrunt who was employing the Vogon. He was paying him an awful lot of money to do some very dirty work. As one of the galaxy's most prominent and successful psychiatrists, he and a consortium of his colleagues were quite prepared to spend an awful lot of money when it seemed that the entire future of psychiatry might be at stake. "Well," he said, "hello, my captain of Vogon's Prostanik, and how are we feeling today?" The Vogon captain told him that in the last few hours he had wiped out nearly half his crew in a disciplinary exercise. Halfrunt's smile did not flicker for an instant. "Well," he said, "I think this is perfectly normal behavior for a Vogon. You know, the natural and healthy channeling of the aggressive instincts into acts of senseless violence." "That," grumbled the Vogon, "is what you always say." Well, again, said Halfrunt, I think that this is perfectly normal behavior for a psychiatrist. Good. We are clearly both very well adjusted in our mental attitudes today. Now tell me, what news of the mission? We have located the ship. Wonderful, said Halfrunt. Wonderful. And the occupants? The Earthman is there. Excellent. And? A female from the same planet. They are the last. Good, good, beamed Halfrunt. Who else? The man prefect. Yes. And Zaphod Beeblebrox. For an instant, Halfrunt's smile flickered. Ah, yes, he said. I had been expecting this. It is most regrettable. A personal friend? Inquired the Vogon, who had heard the expression somewhere once and decided to try it out. Ah, no, said Halfrunt. In my profession, you know, we do not make personal friends. Ah, grunted the Vogon. Professional detachment. No, said Halfrunt cheerfully. We just don't have the knack. He paused. His mouth continued to smile, but his eyes frowned slightly. But Beeblebrox, you know, he said, is one of my most profitable clients. He had personality problems beyond the dreams of analysts. He toyed with this thought a little before reluctantly dismissing it. Still, he said, you are ready for your task? Yes. Good. Destroy the ship immediately. What about Beeblebrox? Well, said Halfrunt brightly, Zaphod's just this guy, you know. And he vanished from the screen. The Vogon captain pressed a communicator button, which connected him with the remains of his crew. Attack, he said. At that precise moment, Zaphod Beeblebrox was in his cabin, swearing very loudly. 2 hours ago, he had said they would go for a quick bite at the restaurant at the end of the universe, whereupon he had had a blazing row with the ship's computer and stormed off to his cabin, shouting that he would work out the improbability factors with a pencil. The Heart of Gold's improbability drive made it the most powerful and unpredictable ship in existence. There was nothing it couldn't do, provided you knew exactly how improbable it was that the thing you wanted it to do would ever happen. He had stolen it when, as president, he was meant to be launching it. He didn't know exactly why he had stolen it, except that he liked it. He didn't know why he had become president of the galaxy, except that it seemed a fun thing to do. He did know that there were better reasons than these, but that they were buried in a dark, locked-off section of his two brains. He wished the dark, locked-off section of his two brains would go away, because they occasionally surfaced momentarily and put strange thoughts into the light, fun sections of his mind, and tried to deflect him from what he saw as being the basic business of his life, which was to have a wonderfully good time. At the moment, he was not having a wonderfully good time. He had run out of patience and pencils and was feeling very hungry. Starpox, he shouted. At that same precise moment, Bald Prefect was in midair. This was not because of anything wrong with the ship's artificial gravity field, but because he was leaping down the stairwell which led to the ship's personal cabins. It was a very high jump to do in one bound, and he landed awkwardly, stumbled, recovered, raced down the corridor, sending a couple of miniature service robots flying, skidded around the corner, and burst into Zaphod's room and explained what was on his mind. Vogons, he said. A short while before this, Arthur Dent had sent out from his cabin in search of a cup of tea. It was not a quest he embarked upon with a great deal of optimism, because he knew that the only source of hot drinks on the entire ship was a benighted piece of equipment produced by the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation. It was called a Nutramatic drink synthesizer, and he had encountered it before. It claimed to produce the widest possible range of drinks, personally matched to the tastes and metabolism of whoever cared to use it. When put to the test, however, it invariably produced a plastic cup filled with a liquid that was almost, but not quite, entirely unlike tea. He attempted to reason with the thing. "Tea," he said. "Share and enjoy," the machine replied, and provided him with yet another cup of the sickly liquid. He threw it away. "Share and enjoy," the machine repeated, and provided him with another one. Share and enjoy is the company motto of the hugely successful Sirius Cybernetics Corporation Complaints Division, which now covers the major land masses of 3 medium-sized planets, and is the only part of the corporation to have shown a consistent profit in recent years. The motto stands, or rather stood, in 3-mile-high illuminated letters near the Complaints Department spaceport of Eardrax. Unfortunately, its weight was such that shortly after it was erected, the ground beneath the letters caved in and they dropped for nearly half the length through the offices of many talented young complaints executives, now deceased. The protruding upper halves of the letters now appear in the local language to read, "Go stick your head in a pig," and are no longer illuminated, except at times of a special celebration. Arthur threw away a 6th cup of the liquid. "Listen, you machine," he said. "You claim you can synthesize any drink in existence, so why do you keep giving me the same undrinkable stuff?" "Nutrition and pleasurable sense data," burbled the machine. "Share and enjoy." "It tastes filthy. If you have enjoyed the experience of this drink," continued the machine, "why not share it with your friends?" "Because," said Arthur tartly, "I want to keep them." "Will you try to comprehend what I'm telling you? That drink, said the machine sweetly, was individually tailored to meet your personal requirements for nutrition and pleasure." "Ah," said Arthur, "so I'm a masochist on a diet, am I?" "Share and enjoy." "Oh, shut up." "Will that be all?" Arthur decided to give up. "Yes," he said. Then he decided he'd be damned if he'd give up. "No," he said. "Look, it's very, very simple. All I want is a cup of tea. You are going to make one for me. Keep quiet and listen." And he sat. He told the Nutramatic about India. He told it about China. He told it about Ceylon. He told it about broad leaves drying in the sun. He told it about silver teapots. He told it about summer afternoons on the lawn. He told it about putting in the milk before the tea so it wouldn't get scalded. He even told it briefly about the history of the East India Company. "So that's it, is it?" said the Nutramatic when he had finished. "Yes," said Arthur. "That is what I want." "You want the taste of dried leaves boiled in water?" Yes, with milk." "Squirted out of a cow?" "Well, in a manner of speaking, I suppose." "I'm going to need some help with this one," said the machine tersely. All the cheerful burbling had dropped out of its voice, and it now meant business. "Well, anything I can do." "You've done quite enough," the Nutramatic informed him. It summoned up the ship's computer. "Hi there," said the ship's computer. The Nutramatic explained about tea to the ship's computer. The computer boggled, linked logic circuits with the Nutramatic, and together they lapsed into a grim silence. Arthur watched and waited for a while, but nothing further happened. He thumped it, but still nothing happened. Eventually he gave up and wandered up to the bridge. In the empty wastes of space, the heart of gold hung still. Around it blazed the billion pinpricks of the galaxy. Towards it crept the ugly yellow lump of the Vogon ship. I hope you'll join us at the restaurant at the end of the universe. when the next chapter drops very soon.